An artist is not a lonely person hiding in the studio away from the world who suddenly magically one day gets discovered and famous and rich. It's a lot of hard work. And long ago, I was lucky enough to be an intern at an alternative space gallery in Rochester, New York. And almost everything that I've ever done was sort of inspired by this experience. The idea that artists would build a community for other artists. Artists would engage with their own practice, with their own work, with their own ideas. But in the process of coming up with your own ideas, you also have to talk with friends and support them. You go to openings to support your friends because you want your friends to come to your openings to support you, right? You build a community, is the proper term here, out of your creative practice. And everything I've done ever since then has really come out of this idea that I'm one very small person with a very limited skill set, and there's a lot of TV to be watched on a given day. So my window of creativity is pretty narrow. But combine my 45 minutes a day with somebody else's, and all of a sudden we can get a lot more done. In '92, I met an artist named Jason Dean, who to this day is still my creative partner. In '95, we put a name to what we do as Fabulous Harvey, the man in love with himself. And everything that Jay and I create collaboratively comes under that title. 4 years ago, he and I agreed that we would no longer have individual creative practices. So you'll never go to a show and see Nash as the artist. It's always Fabulous Harvey. At the same time that we did that, we realized two of us collaborating, we could do a lot more. The work that we do together is always so much better than the work that we do individually. We were also thinking bigger. We brought in more people. We created this organization called Number Foundation. I don't know if any of you have run across. Still active, 35 or 40 members. If you read comics, they published a comic anthology, Royal Flush once a year. Launched a few careers. I'm not really involved with them anymore, don't ask. More recently, having finished grad school, I moved back to Boston, right at the tail end of our booming alternative scene, which Jim will tell you all about. And what sort of came out of the tail end of that moment was what had been a very strong community started on that one. And we were looking around, graduates, I teach, graduate students were starting to feel like they were about to enter an arts community that wasn't as accepting as it had been a couple years before. People who'd been very active were starting to feel like they were becoming disconnected. And there was this real need to put this energy to use somewhere. Essentially, rent outstripped the possibility of artists having spaces. So we were looking around for other options. And we went to the web, and we created an arts journal called Big Red and Shiny. It was really meant, in its first iteration, to simply become this binding force where the people who had creative energy wanted to be involved could kind of come together. And if you saw a show that you liked, you could write about it. If you had a show that you were doing, you could promote, put all that stuff together. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that works later on, but all of this stuff, this is sort of my intro here, but all of this stuff is really, for me, tied up in being an artist. Because the creating is definitely one of the things that you do. But talking about your work, talking about other people's work, caring about what's happening beyond your, studio is how any of this ever gets done at the end of the day. That's kind of and so what we did with Big Red and Shiny was to basically create an online magazine about what's happening in Boston. It's written mostly by artists, although some professional critics. Jim, if you go to view, you can just go into the slideshow here. All volunteers, they don't pay anybody. When we started, it was just a couple of us. If you like something, go write about it. Currently, I pay 4 people, and we carry about 80 to 85 bylines, although about 10 are active at any given point. We have 5 regular columnists. We're publishing our first print annual. We're already commissioning 2 books for publication, and we're just about to reach 1,000 published articles. All in the past past 3 years, we've had a budget of $15,000. That's all of our money. So what happened for us, what I experienced when we put this website up, was this immediate recognition that people wanted to be involved in a lot of different ways. People wanted to talk about what they thought was interesting. People wanted to get excited and share that. And that's what we created. It's not anything, it's a website, it's pink. I mean, it's not anything special. But giving people sort of a locus for conversation in the same way that Oni was a physical locus for conversation. Sort of, this is an online locus for conversation. And people get really excited. People still come up to me. We've been online for 3 years now. People still come up to me and tell me how excited they are every time the mission comes out. We're not the only one. There's Glass Tire in Austin, Texas. Bad at Sports comes out of Chicago. There's a long list. Those are my 2 favorites, but there's a long list. And we are, for Boston, what Bad at Sports is for Chicago. People coming together and getting excited about being artists, and being excited about the community, and then finding some way to put that back out into the world. I like the web because it's cheap, it's fast, it's efficient. If you make a mistake, you can go edit it. If something exciting happens, you can tell people about it right away. We always sort of take great pride in the fact that you can read a review on Big Red Shiny while the show is still up and actually go see the show, which you can't do in most print magazines. And we put out 25 or 30 every 2 weeks. The Globe puts out 4 major arts reviews a month. So it's meant to be part of the community in the same way that a local newspaper or magazine. It's meant to be by you, for you, about you.